Hey guys, 7.11 just dropped, so today we're going to take a look at some new champions that have gone much better over in Korea so far. These are ones I've been tracking over the past few days. They work at high and low elo, but are something a bit different, and I'm going to make sure I cover every single role this time as well, starting with a few AD carries. The question I have for this video is who you have noticed in your elo bracket to be a lot stronger since the patch hit a few days ago. Let me know in the comments. We're also teaming up with Haste for this episode, and if you haven't already tried it, there's a link down below to see if it can help you lower your ping and prevent stutters and packet loss and stuff like that. It doesn't work for everybody, and it's not a VPN or any bollocks like that. You use their connection to talk to the Overwatch or League servers, which hopefully should be a lot smoother and more direct. Anyway, I honestly think it's really good. Like, genuinely, it's free, and the link is below if you want to give it a go. So the first one in today's video is going to be Tristana, and she's not the one I expected, but she's pretty legit in Korea actually at the moment, preying on like weaker ADs or AD players. If Triss can get ahead, right, she is so deadly now. She annihilates towers. Imagine Rift Herald, right, plus explosive charge. That'd be nuts. You do kind of want to avoid either super good late game champions like Twitch or really aggro early ones like Draven, but apart from that, not really that bad, especially against weak lane champions who she can actually bully. If you're sitting there thinking to yourself, like, I win my lane all the time as an AD, but I still lose the game, or I don't really know what to do, then Trist is really for you. It's very simple. You run around, you press E on towers, and you wreck people. Weirdly in Korea at the moment, still it is going to be Blade first, then Shiv or Runins into Infinity Edge. The Blade percentage damage does apply on Runins, so that kind of makes sense, and it gives a better early game. I think that's the main reason. You're also really safe. Like, teams are so bad at protecting AD carries this season, it feels like. You know, maybe they just don't think you're worth it, so they let you die anyway, but you can jump away, right? You can knock them away with your ultimate and sit back with your high range, so it's not that bad really. The win rate is highest in Korea early at like 1 to 3 items where you're pushing towers and getting massively that way. It's also really good late game, but dipping in the middle part. Like, if you get behind as well, you do legit no damage. Fervor is more popular, and partly because it scales with your E actually. So when you fully charge that thing, it has about a 240% bonus AD ratio, which is insane. So you use Fervor way more than others, plus you stack it quite fast with your Q. Now the other AD is a quick mention, okay? Her overall win rate hasn't really spiked up too much, but Jinx is better. It's more because this patch she's an answer to Lucian, kind of. Like, it seems like he's fallen down a bit with the Blade nerfs, and Jinx just outscales him like a beast. Caitlyn is still kind of even for her, which makes sense. Twitch is better late game, but otherwise Jinx does like more damage than most champions at the moment. The build and masteries and stuff are the same that we use here, so Runins, Infinity Edge, Rapid Fire Cannon for those crazy AoE rockets, but because she's so good late game, by the way, and pretty easy, you right click with rockets, she's one of the best to play at gold and below at the moment, or if you're new to the AD carry role. So moving on to the mid lane, Vel'Koz is first up, and I said I thought this might happen actually in my hidden buffs video a few days ago. Like, he's very strong against a lot of the meta matchups, especially Lucian mid in Korea, which Faker made popular. Absolutely destroys him. I said before, Fizz got a bit worse, so less popular. Other assassins aren't really played much, and that is what he's weak against. So basically he ruins most mages, and that's what he's playing against now. He's got that insane burst. It's long range, it's AoE. If you leave him alone, he's going to ult from the back line. If you jump on him, he knocks you up and he combos you. The build, Morello, Ludens, Leandri is just such high damage, but Banshee is actually kind of a new way for him to protect himself as well as do more. I really think he's a good solo carry champion, honestly. Even as poke, like, you get behind, you can poke from range, right? You get ahead, he can blow his load over everybody in a fight, not just single target. So it is literally covering everybody. His win rate is decent throughout the game, but 4 items, so like once you have those 3 damage ones we talked about and Banshees, that seems to be where he shines the most, I think. Thunderlords, like normal, is the mastery, but they have these weird runes that are different. So move speed quints, CDR per level blues, HP per level yellows, and magic pen reds. It's pretty weird, but it's actually got an insane mid-game spike with those, so it does make sense. Now this is the reworked Malzahar, right? We talked about before. His ultimate does way more damage, and it seems like now he is basically the best mid lane you can play mid-game once he has a few items. If somebody can poke your passive off and like kind of poke him down, he's pretty crap actually. So you want to avoid like Vel'Koz and Ziggs, but close-up stuff he takes a dump on, like Orianna, Syndra, Zed even. You have to remember as well, your ultimate still does percentage damage. So like mid-game, you've got the base now on it, the new side, and you've got the percentage damage, and it's legit insane damage-wise. Plus, it is very easy to catch people. The biggest thing, you flash R, you engage, you catch someone, and you snowball the game from that. It's funny that they reworked him, right, to not be just about pressing R. Then he kind of sucked. He was too difficult, so they nerfed him. So they changed it back to you only need to press R to win. It makes no sense. He does kind of suck in lane still. Like, he pushes well, but he can't really do much damage yet. Like, he has a really good mid game though, and then falls off a bit later. Like, when everybody is always grouped, you can't really like catch someone with a flash R anymore. Masteries are the same, but they run very similar runes to Vel'Koz, except AP Quints. Like, it gives you more ultimates and more HP mid game, not really playing to bully in the lane phase. So again, it does actually make sense and it's pretty good. Now, with the rise of more bruisers and Galio especially, right, Swain is apparently Korea's answer to that. We're in a bruiser meta, right? He is an AP bruiser and he also beats other normal bruisers. Like, Rumble and Yasuo are really the only ones in 7-11 giving him a consistent problem, but like Rumbles here suck anyway, the outside of Korea, and Yasuo is normally banned, so it's not really that big of a deal. It's honestly kind of crazy that he can beat like a Darius and a Fiora Riven so well, plus actually smash tanks like Galio at the same time. Build explains it though. Rod of Ages, Zhonya's Visage, Liandry's Rylai's, right? Like, legit all 5 of those give some defensive stats as well as offensive, but he still does a lot of damage. Like, with those items, he really just does not die, but he's still pumping out the damage, especially with Deathfire Touch on top of the other stuff as well. His CS is better with his Q change. He's never going to be that popular, right? Like, he never is, but this patch especially, he's actually very good, and the meta is perfect for him. He's good at high elo, but even better at lower ranks. He's not one of these champions who you get a lead and you kind of end super early or anything because he needs items, but that means he has an insanely good mid game, and eventually late they can kind of cut through your healing again, but until that point it's really hard. Normally in Korea, right, they kind of love their shields and heals for supports and like defensive team supports, right? But apparently not this patch. Well, actually they do. Rakan and Lulu, exactly like these team supports, are really popular, and Brand does really well against both of them, which is why he's coming up. He's never been that good against Zyra or like Soraka and Sona, who can kind of out heal his poke, but he's winning a lot versus Lulu, Karma, Rakan, even Thresh as well. I think he's kind of like the most not a support, but still actually a support that you can play. Like, you get autofilled or you want to carry more as a damage support, this is who you'd play. When you're playing against a Brand support as an AD carry, it's legit like hell, honestly. You play against someone who can solo you, who can poke you, who can stun you. It's really hard to deal with. Build wise, I have the Watchers like Rylai's, Liandry's. We're seeing more Banshees on him as well, by the way, but it's mostly about those first 3 items for the impact in the game at least. I'm not kidding, by the way, about saying he's a carry. Like, he has the highest average kills, gold earned, and damage done out of any support. That is why I'm saying like he's probably the highest impact and hardest carry support you can actually play in 7-11. Even the stats back that up. You do have a really good early to mid game, but others will eventually come into the game more with their redemptions and lockets and whatever else. They kind of shut you down a bit. Like, you have a lot of AoE damage and they have an AoE heal and a shield. So for the jungle, we have a few high and low elo ones. Honestly, like, the jungle role changes the most in those kind of brackets from low to high. So Jarvan is the first one, who's stomping a lot at low ranks at the moment. Like, even at higher ones, but especially lower down. He's easy to play. He has high damage, crowd control, really good ganks. He's really good at killing carries as well with his burst damage, so you can actually carry a game. You also have the advantage of beating people like Lee Sin and Graves, Kindred, who are quite popular. Most carry matchups, he actually does more damage than them, and he lasts longer in a fight as well. It's kind of hard against tanks though, because he can't really burst them or kill them, and he's not as tanky either. One of the biggest things I love with Jarvan is he's a real cheese jungler, so you can gank like level 2, you can constantly punish or blow flash cooldowns, you're decent 1v1, you can invade and EQ out if you get caught, so it's literally like no risk. Build wise, Warrior, Black Cleaver, Guardian Angel mostly, and then tank. So you've got the damage and then the Guardian Angel to survive diving in. Unless you catch people, you're probably going to get blown up as you jump in, so you kind of need the GA, but your impact is still nuts. I think it's also like, it's very easy to be effective. Like, you press R, if they don't have flash, they have no way to get out, right? You're tanky enough that if you do get caught, you don't die straight away, and it's also good matchups versus most popular champions, so that's why he's so effective at lower ranks. Your win rate is best early to mid, then it dips a bit, but it comes back late game because your W shield scaling when it's max is actually really good with tank items. It's like the first phase in the game you burst everybody, the middle phase you die too fast really, but late game you have enough tank items to engage properly. That's kind of how it works. Now Jax is the other one. He's good for top lane, but this is for the jungle, so kind of like a Xin Zhao or Master Yi and stuff, you know, but not as crap early. His build is in a really good spot for him. Sterix with Trinity Force is insane damage, Guardian Angel got a decent shift for him as well, but the entire game slowed down a bit to let him do more. Jarvan and Zac are stat-wise the best against him, but he's pretty well-rounded, so he can gank people, he can like duel like Lee Sin or Graves a bit, but he also massively outscales them later. Actually, one of the best things is they build Gunblade third item quite a lot. It's so random, like Blood Razor, Trinity Force, and then that. Not all the time, by the way. Sterix, Guardian Angel are good too, but yeah, a lot of damage and healing, I guess, so it doesn't really have any particular synergy. He's a really good carry jungler for lower ranks though. He's not abused as much early, early while powering up, not as much of a risk getting counter ganked or like warded out of the game. So you can kind of easily get fed. Once you get fed, once you get your items, you pump out damage in like every way. You burst hard, so AD carries are boned. You have sustained damage, so tanks get destroyed. Plus, you're so good at taking towers and objectives pretty much for free as well, like really fast. He doesn't have the best win rate early, but it is solid throughout the rest of the game. Like, depends, like Thunderlords is better for a better mid game, but Fervor is for a better late game. You can tweak like your masteries and build to your style a bit as well. For the high elo ones, Nidalee to start with is like the master and challenger beast jungler this patch, taking a dump on everybody basically. I'm not entirely sure why in 7-11 she's so much better than before, but once you get to high diamond and above that, she is steamrolling over everybody for now. Elise is basically overpowered in Korea at the moment, like played in almost 25% of games and still has an insane win rate. She has a really healthy farm, which is also fast and lets her gank way more than normal. Plus those ganks are better than normal with crowd control and damage together. She doesn't really have as much impact in late game team fights, but her damage is still decent. Plus we've got stuff like Locket and Knight's Vow to fall back on, which help. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember to check out Haste. Thank you for watching, but for now I'll leave you with the robots.